the hot corner, New Mexico. That's right, where we're talking about everything Major League Baseball with our man, the baseball expert, the Maverick Man. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Khalil. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm going to give you a cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you.
to Bozy Brothers Brewery
Thank you,
for this
guys.
fantastic beer. Go check them out on 6th and Central. It's a wonderful place. Beer, baseball, and brawls. Look, we know what's going on. Toronto Blue Jays, Texas Rangers. Let's take a look at the highlights to get your take on what happened. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're watching it. So, Mav, you're taking some issue with what happened here in this game. What about it? Did we see Bautista getting dinged? What problems did you have with this?
The problem I have with this scenario here is that this was his last at-bat in the last game of their season series. Therefore, they kind of put it off, the retribution factor, and that should have been addressed right away. First at-bat, get it off the table. They left it to linger, and it's not over now. You know, it's not over because they didn't handle it in the proper baseball code.
Ah, I got you. Now, do you think, here we're watching the fisticuffs take place between Odor and Bautista, do you think this was a management decision to hold off until now?
That's hard to say because the pitcher who threw the pitch that hit Bautista was not in the series last season in the postseason.
He wasn't even in the league last season.
He wasn't there. So, and he was possibly trying to get in with his teammates, and he took it upon himself to plunk Bautista, which once again should have been addressed earlier. And this is the kind of thing that happens when the strange but real code isn't followed. And I'm not sure Bautista was expecting to get into an actual fisticuffs.
Yes. It didn't seem like it. I mean, look, I got to say, as I said before earlier on in the show, this was by far the cleanest punch I'd ever seen in a baseball brawl. Most of the time, the guys feign like they want to swing at each other, but they don't actually do. The only two sports where I see guys actually take swings, hockey, which they're well noted for, and basketball, although the basketball guys don't seem to want to connect. And baseball guys don't seem to ever want to connect at all. In this part, this was like an MMA bout.
Yeah, well, that was, I mean, he left himself open. Anyone who's seen a fight on the schoolyard from there to the sports arenas knows that there's two kinds of ways this can go. Those that puff and those that punch.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the two of them met at second base.
Yes, they did.
Bautista puffed, Odor punched.
And then there we have it. So this goes to speak a little bit. Obviously, this is bad blood from last year's playoff series. Bautista hitting the series-deciding, basically, home run and the infamous bat flip. This goes to talk about the unwritten rules in baseball. We've got the new school versus the old school. Old school, you hit a home run on me, you get around the bases, you don't watch the ball out. You do that because if you don't, you show the pitcher any sign of disrespect, we're going to plunk you. The new school is saying, hey, if you were that good, if I get the chance to hit a home run, I'm going to admire my work and celebrate and take that time. What do you think baseball needs to do to really lessen these type of occurrences?
We're talking generations of baseball sensibilities on the line here. You know, we're changing baseball sensibility. And a lot of it is an influx of new ball players, new attitudes, and the old guard is not necessarily representing well the modern game. There's an interesting rub to this. I mean, I think a guy should celebrate a home run.
I agree.
I think there should be emotion in sports. However, an interesting angle to this is when you would take that same celebration factor to the pitcher, and if he starts fist pumping every time he closes an inning or strikes out a batter, now we're going to create some real tensions on the field, and I think that's why, one of the reasons why there's always been these codes. The other is the kids watching the game, the little leaguers. Are they going to pick up on some of the non-baseball aspects of the game that the pros exhibit?
Well, it's interesting. You look at other sports. You look at the NBA. Guys hit the three-pointer. They're doing the three-point goggles, the three-point sign. Monstrous dunks get an extremely glorified yell. last year, football, NFL, Cam Newton scoring, dabbing.
Sure.
And a lot of players were upset, and a lot of people were upset with Cam Newton celebrating. He said, "Well, look, if you don't like me celebrating, don't stop me from scoring."
Right.
You know, and it's to say that, you know, of course, you don't want anybody to hot dog too much and be too much of a showboat, but a little bit of celebration adds the flair. I remember in the 80s watching Andre Rison score touchdowns for the Atlanta Falcons in the NFL, and that was a wonderful part of the game to watch him celebrate. It was exciting.
Certainly, and the NFL has been dealing with this for a long time.
Yeah.
And in a game where there's so much emotion, how do you regulate the thrill of succeeding in your position? It's a tough angle. Yeah. And in baseball, it's particularly tough because of, once again, the code. Yeah. Now, I think the code has got to change. That, I think anyone can agree on that.
Yeah.
Even the old timers have to budge a little bit because the game is changing, things evolve.
Yeah, Bryce Harper before the season was talking about how the game needs to change, and he's been a proponent. Look, he's one of the faces of the league. Right. Probably the best player in the league currently. This young man is saying, look, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to get the fans excited. It's a new game. It's a new dawn, a new era for the league. We'll see how that turns out.
And let's keep this in perspective. It was two teams competing hard with postseason blood, a hard slide. You know, this is baseball action. He got in a punch. Let's move on.
There you go.
You know.
Speaking of moving on, we're going to take a look at, well, we're going to talk about several teams. We had the White Sox versus the Yankees. You said the Yankees are going to come on. They did steal a win in this game.
Yes.
What do you think? What do you think about these two squads?
I think you're seeing two teams that are heading in different directions.
Okay.
Early in the season, I don't, as I've said, I don't think the White Sox can hang on to first place all year. And I don't think the Yankees are going to stay in last place all year. Mm-hmm. So here they are meeting, and I believe the Yankees took the series 3-4, 2-3, something to that effect.
Yeah, they did.
You know, the Yankees I've grown up with as a Red Sox fan, you never count them out. You never, ever count out the Yankees. And this year is no exception.
Okay, now we're moving on to your Boston Red Sox. On Sunday, they scored 10 games, I believe, for the fourth or fifth, 10 runs for the fourth or fifth game in a row. Once again, like one of the only three teams have done that in Major League history. And they've all been of different incarnations of a Red Sox team. Red Sox are starting to get hot right now. Also hot in that division, the Baltimore Orioles. So, what do you see from these guys?
I see a dogfight.
Okay.
I see a real battle with two teams that don't like each other.
Yeah.
I think the Orioles are probably a more aggressive power hitting team, beginning to end lineup-wise. But the Red Sox have actually been scoring a lot of runs on small ball, which is unique to them. They were traditionally a power hitting team with a monster. And so, you know, the Red Sox are sort of trying some new techniques in scoring runs, and it's working.
Okay. All right. Now, the Chicago Cubs, best record in the league, lost on Sunday to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the winning pitcher for Pittsburgh had some interesting comments after the game. He said that, I don't think that the Cubs are the best team in the league.
There's a difference between being the hottest team and the best team.
Okay.
And the Cubs are definitely the hottest team in baseball.
All right.
But are they the best team? I don't think so either. The Cubs did win the series, and the Cubs are up in wins against the Pirates this year at this point. They've got a ways to go. I think the Pirates are a better team, but the Cubs are undeniably on fire right now.
Behind Mr. Arrieta?
Yep. And, you know, these guys are going to take any opportunity they can to get in the heads of the Cubs.
Yeah.
So
that's what they're going to do.
Gamesmanship.
And noted that the Cubs played well last season. They came along, made the playoffs, absolutely stumbled against the Mets in the NLCS. Now, Pittsburgh has been flirting with the playoffs and actually made some playoff runs the past few years. So they know, I think they have a little bit more experience as far as what to do in the season to get yourselves in shape for the playoffs and to make a deep postseason run. This is kind of still fresh for the Cubs. Do you think he meant that a little bit? Like, yeah, you're playing well, young hotshot,
right.
but you still don't know what it takes to win.
Absolutely. And once again, that's gamesmanship. I mean, these guys are going to work each other in whatever way they can. It's the black and blue division.
Yeah.
You know, but the Cubs are for real. And
Okay.
I actually believe next year is their year.
Next year is the Cubs' year. You heard it first here. Your Colorado Rockies.
Hey, I love this team. Walt Weiss, great coach, great organization, and they really seem like they're having fun playing baseball, and they're actually over 500. I think this thing with the Topes and the Rockies is clicking.
Okay.
I think it's a good organization top to bottom. And unfortunately, I haven't been to a Topes game yet this year.
Neither have I.
However, I mean, these guys are for real. I mean, this is a really good fundamental baseball team.
Okay, so they're going to step it up and
Indeed.
pull something out. All right, what else have you seen in the world of sports that's caught your eye?
Well, I had an interesting time watching the NASCAR race this weekend. I'm a big fan of motorsports, and it was an excellent race for those that follow the sport. Seeing one of the elder statesmen, Matt Kenseth, winning in Dover, one of the most difficult tracks as far as physicality on the circuit. You know,
How so?
it's a 1 mile concrete oval with high banking and dips and into corners, and it's just a physically demanding track on the driver. I've heard accounts of drivers after the race kind of sort of collapsing in the shower, just unable to keep it up physically, arms, legs, back worn out completely. So Kenseth, the old man, you know, in his 40s, went out and raced his butt off against two rookies that don't add up to his age. It was tremendous racing, clean racing, and he came out on top.
Kansas doing something for us Generation Xers.
Indeed, indeed.
I like that. Congratulations to you, sir, and thank you, Mr. Math, for another expedition here in the Hot Corner. Once again, we want to say thanks to Bosey Brothers Brewery for adding the libations. More on the U Sports Report coming right up.